Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday live stream. It's good to see you all. For those of you who hung out this afternoon with Damien, Rasa, and myself, we had a great chat today. Lots of really good stuff, talking about a lot of good stuff. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It was on Damien's channel, Sleepy Reader's channel, this weekend. And let's get into what I read this week. So I read actually an absolute boatload of stuff. Trying to catch up a bit because I have some things that I bought from 50 Cent and dollar bins. Hello, Damien. Hello, John. How's it going, fellas? That I bought from like cheap bins and stuff that I'm really trying to just get to. Then I got some new comics this week. I went and I made it to my Galaxy shop and picked up some new stuff, so that kind of sidetracked me. So we won't talk about this one. There's a video on Roger Binion's stuff. I looked through this, I don't know how many times at this point. I love it. It's probably, I don't know, it's pretty damn near my favorite of his books that I have so far. So yeah, go and check out that video and you can see all of the stuff I have from Binion. We look at it under black light and then I go through this one page by page, so check that out. Let's see if we can make some sense of this stuff here. We'll do this. Let's start with a couple of things that I talked about on the chat today. Let's move this. I need another little table here. I did talk about these this afternoon, but let's have another little look here. I'm gonna adjust the height here. Let's see if we can get in a little closer. Excuse me while I readjust, people. Let's do that. AFPC, how are you, man? Sorry, as I cause an earthquake. So, the tale of Maya Ram. I talked about this afternoon, but we'll just have another quick look through it. I really like this book a lot. The art is what sold me on it. The story itself, it was a little convoluted. There's so many different characters. There's so many different relations of this person who is the king of this territory, who had this as a title, and then so-and-so fought them for this. And it was really, really difficult to follow and actually be interested in because it was like reading a history book, some parts of it. And that was a little much. I wish it would have flowed a little bit. But I love this art. Is just gorgeous. I did a bit of search online for the Sam Dixon. I didn't have any luck. So if anybody knows anything about Sam Dixon, I'd love to hear more. This is from 1988, Aircell Publishing out of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I'd love to see some more of his work. I'm getting the sense that in some of this, we were talking about it this afternoon too, that he or she might have worked in animation, because there's a couple of pages that really have that pacing, and it's just so beautiful. Mr. DaCosta, how are you? So yeah, go back to our chat this afternoon and you'll hear us talk about it a little more. Parts of it look almost unfinished, so I'm not sure what stage this is of the creative. I don't know if this was always intended to be something that was put out in pencils, but I mean, that's pretty much empty there. Let's just look at that one page. This one here was the one. Hey, Mr. Werewolf, how you doing? This is the one here that caught my attention and made me think about animation, that page there. So yeah, I won't go too deep into this. Keep your eyes out for this. I would even say it's worth it if you find it on like my comic shop or something, and it's going to cost you $2. I think it's a $2 well spent for this sucker there. So the system, we'll just do a quick recap of the stuff that I did read. Peter Cooper, not a name that I was familiar with. And of course, a bunch of people did know Peter Cooper's name, including Colin Loden the Cannon. And he sent me a photo of his section of his bookshelf that's dedicated to Cooper. So there's a lot of stuff that he's put out. I really like this a lot. Again, it's the visuals for me. It's a silent story. There's some really beautiful transitions here. This screaming face for the tunnel and the train and stuff, I think is really beautiful. But everything looks stenciled. Even the stencil's getting oversprayed, so it's bleeding out onto the white of the margins there, which is really nice. But beautiful coloring, really nice imagery. The only minor thing was some of the lettering and stuff that does appear in here. Even the money, it looks like it's kind of just laid in. It looks pretty flat. It lacks the kind of dimension that everything else. And then lettering like that, like Maxon, doesn't look that fantastic. Sort of takes you out of it a little bit. It sort of doesn't sit on the page in the same way, but everything else is really beautiful. Absolutely a creator I'm going to keep an eye out for. So that's a 3-issue miniseries. I only have the 2. Keeping my eyes open for the 3rd one. There's a place downtown, and they have a pretty good selection of Vertigo stuff. So I'm hoping to get there maybe on Tuesday. Probably one of the highlight reads for me this week, and I'm desperate to find the rest of these. I really, I love this book a lot. I think this one, I don't know, man, this was just an absolutely stunner of a book. The story was great, kind of balanced between Jim Henson's Storyteller and Norse mythology book that's coming out. Absolutely beautiful P. Craig Russell art. And it doesn't show up on video, but there's a real texture to the backgrounds. I was saying in the chat today, it's like when you see those people doing felting and they're hitting the felt with that hooked needle, when it gets that final texture, once it kind of all condenses and gets knotted up together, that's what you can see in the background here. And there's times where some of these some of the black line work looks like it's almost etched into that. Like it looks like there's a dimension to it. Again, it's just not showing up on camera like it is in person. This is one where that texture really comes out. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see that there. Like that texture is just beautiful, and it really just sits nicely. Yeah, he really is. It's unbelievable. Absolutely one of those artists that's grown on me as I get older. The older I get and the more I see, the more I'm absolutely stunned by his work. So this is a 4-issue miniseries. The only one that I found, 2009 is when this came out. This is high priority to find these other 3. High priority. Yeah, I've got those, and I feel like I need to revisit them. I feel like the last time I read through them, I didn't appreciate them very much. So I absolutely have to revisit that stuff. So that's Sandman. The Dream Hunters is what that 4-issue mini is called. And then I think we're on to stuff that I didn't talk about. I placed an order at my comic shop, or Lone Star. I ordered 4 more issues of this Mercedes series. I liked this first issue quite a bit. Again, it's another one of those kind of books where the thing that I love about these independent books from the 80s and even into the 90s, this one's 1995. I love the sense of you can get these creators early on, and you can tell right away that there's something there or not, right? So this book, while there's a lot of stuff that could be polished and worked on, there's some really nice stuff going on here. I like the look of the art. The storytelling isn't horrible. It flows kind of nicely. I like the use of, the white on the pages and stuff. So I think this went 12 issues or something, I think. Angus Comics is what this is released. So they had a bunch of them on Lone Star. So I think I ordered the next 4. So I have those coming in right away. I think it's coming in this week. Yeah, I mean, stuff like this, AFPC, really nice. Oh, okay. So a P. Craig Russell in Legends of the Dark Knight as well. Shit. I'll have to look for that. And she's kind of like a medium. She can touch people and then see who they are and see their history. And she kind of touches him and gets a flash of this horrible shit that he's done. But I love this panel. Oh, I love this whole page, actually. I love that the way that is off kilter, and I love the way the figure is sitting on the bottom of the page. So it's stuff like this that I see in these books that really speak to me, as far as this is a creator who's really still finding their footing. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. And I'll show you. I think when I first got this, I showed this. This is the cover of the next issue, which also gets me pretty excited to see what's involved inside. But this one's great. I love /hate how you make me drain my bank account. Luckily, this kind of stuff, Werewolf, when I was looking for it on my comic shop, it all is pretty cheap. It's like $2 American a pop, which isn't unreasonable. So yeah, I ordered like 35 books or something. So there's a whole bunch of shit coming in that I'm very excited to get my hands on. So that's another one called Mercedes. Eternity Comics, Terror Tales, all new illustrated horror. I know I read it. I can't remember much about it. I think there was one story in here that I really dug. This is from 1991, and it's just like a horror anthology. A little bit of Spectre vibes there on that one. Yeah, what the heck was this first? Yeah, see, I mean, this is the thing. Oh, that's right. This woman that's like a butterfly woman, and she's been isolated. That's what it is. And the person that did live with her kind of escaped or went out to explore this apocalyptic wasteland, came back, and she's kind of waxing poetic about how much she's missed him. And then we get the final reveal here. She's biting into his neck. Was Eternity part of Aircell, John? Is that what you're saying? This one, the story itself was kind of silly, but I liked the style of it. This troublemaking kid doing prank phone calls. Things backfire on him. They think that they're going to call the police. So he gets really terrified. So his reaction is to hide in his room here. And when his mom comes in to thinks that she's going to punish him, and he ends up choking her out and killing her because he thinks that the cops are now at the house, basically, and it's just his grandmother. So kind of a silly. Oh, okay. There you go. Eternity merged with Aircell. And then this one I liked as well too. I liked the pages. I like this kind of stuff, storytelling with multiple panels, but then every once in a while having all those panels be a part of a bigger image was pretty fun. So kind of a forgetful story, a deal with the devil, skateboarding this half pipe. And it kind of goes south, shall we say. What was this last story? Oh yeah, this last story about con artists basically pretending to take somebody back in time. Not a bad little story. Again, like the art was kind of the most polished of the bunch, but the story wasn't the greatest. Anyway, so that was fun. I love trying this stuff out again for, I think it was 50 cents or something. It's well worth it. Well, there you go. A handful of black and white Aircells that have Eternity logos in the ad slick paper. Interesting. Whoops. Lost on my head. Aircell cred. Aircell was, so I guess Eternity was as well. Hey, let's have, well, I guess I don't know shit, so let's find out instead of guessing. See, they're part of Malibu. a division of Malibu Comics, Newbury Park, California. So from the States, this one, but that's interesting. And then keeping on with the indies, one of my favorite covers of the bunch. This is a series called Swiftsure, Harrier Comics, which I think was a UK company. This is presents Tales of the Rugged Reptile. This is issue number 13 in the Swiftsure series. I think there was like 16 of these or 18 of these. I don't know how many. Um, this was all right. Pretty sparse kind of art, almost Howarth looking here in this first story. One too many. There was about a shapeshifter alien who kind of stows away on this ship. And the usual, the crew can't trust each other. They don't know what to do. It might be the cat. It turns out at one point it is the cat. It was fun enough. Nothing super promising other than the cover. And then we get into some other stories. And I think this was one of my favorite panels here. I just really like the way she's drawn there with those little strands of hair creeping out from her hood there. And just the little wisp of breath coming out of her mouth. So that's a great panel. This is about some giant shark that comes up through the ice to eat people that they have to fight off. So I don't know how much of this was continuing from previous ones. And I love the look of this stuff in Forest. I love this panel just with like the corners of guys' heads poking into frame. The kind of sparseness to those pages there is pretty nice. Not sword and sorcery, but sword and sci-fi, I guess, a little mix. And this one was really well done. I love the style of this. This really reminds me of like some 2000 AD Dave Gibbons type stuff here on the side. Yeah, I think I have Nightbird there, AFPC. Shock Therapy, I don't know. I'll keep my eyes out for it. And then So Much Story, it keeps going onto the back of the inside cover there. Hello, J-Rock, how you doing? So that's fun stuff. I just love the look of that cover, how it looks kind of very fanzine-ish. We'll probably talk more about this on the show next week. But I tell you, man, it's a special day when Shaolin Cowboy makes an appearance again in another series. Apparently what Jeff Darrow says is the final series of Shaolin Cowboy. It's a great book. I mean, there's really not much point talking about it in any great detail. If you know Jeff Darrow, if you know Shaolin Cowboy, it's just more of the same. Chock full of little details everywhere. Cats, and later on there's some graffiti on the rocks. Lots of fuck yous and fuck this, fuck that. So it's the Shaolin Cowboy. There's a nice little gimmick here that happens. He's getting into this fight and ends up throwing his poncho and his umbrella up in the air, and it kind of makes an appearance throughout this first kind of fight scene. And I feel like this is the most panels I've seen in some Darrow Shaolin Cowboy stuff. I could be wrong about that, but it definitely has that sense to me that I haven't seen him draw this many panels. So eventually, in that space of the poncho and the umbrella getting thrown up in the air and getting down to catch, we have a couple of pages of action. He chops off parts of this lizard's tail and he goes scurrying off. Like, look at this stuff here. It's beautiful. So this is going to be a great one. I'm looking forward to it. He's got a bunch of really great artists doing some variant covers as well, too. Like there was a Mike Mignola one this time that I had my hands on, but I just stuck with the regular cover. Look at that. It's beautiful stuff. Really, really nice. So yeah, Shaolin Cowboy. I'm sure that I can't imagine there's too many people that aren't getting it. I feel like it's one of the more popular books out there by one of the more popular creators. This one can go there. Nice House on the Lake. issue number 8. I'm still really, really loving this. Yeah, you did. Hey, PC. That is, I'm surprised, actually. I'm legitimately surprised. Yeah, he's been on a bunch. The one that's really worth watching is where they look at the last tankobon there of Akira, the stuff that Marvel put out. He does a guest spot on there, and they kind of break it down. That's a really fun episode. He's kind of really self-deprecating to the point of sometimes where it gets a little bit much. You know, yeah, but I do like the guy. He does have a lot of nice, good things to say. So it's well worth checking out. But dude, I love this one. I really love this one. Um, sorry, I'm trying to catch up on the chat here, and I feel like I've missed something. Anyway, I just dig the way the story is going. Even with the gaps, I feel like it takes me a couple of pages to catch up. But once I catch up, I'm right back into the feel of this book. And I just really dig it. And I'm also really loving this title page. I love that we get a few pages, and this, it really gives it that episodic kind of feel. And it really, I can almost hear like the synth kind of drones when this page turn happens there, as we get kind of brought back into our world. So in the last couple of issues, or last issue possibly, he's wiped everybody's memory from the tragic accident that's befallen the world to cause them to get holed up here on this in this place. And they're starting to get antsy. They want to go and try to get out of here and get back to civilization. And so he's kind of struggling with that there. It's good though. It's really, really good. It catches my attention. I think the story is really interesting. I don't really know where it's going to go. I mean, like any story, I have my suspicions, but I find myself kind of surprised. And when he does kind of lose the, when he does kind of lose the willpower to keep like his face, and he reverts. I love that style. It looks incredible there. So so there we go. Yeah, and then a little bit of a reveal there. We won't talk about that too much. So, oh, sorry about that. Bumping you. I finally caught up on Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. Loved this issue. I was a little skeptical about the issues. I wasn't sure where this was going. But this is a great one. It's really well done, and it really just kind of, again, drives up the stakes for us. Yeah, it's a very riveting story. It definitely leaves me by the end of it. It almost feels like I want to try to just hold off on this. That's just going to be impossible though, and like collect a bunch of the issues and then sit and read them all. But I think part of the fun of a book like this is that waiting month after month to find out what's happening next. So I won't go any further than that on these pages. But yeah, if you're reading that, I hope you're digging it like I am. What is that? Issue 7 now, hey? And probably one of the surprises of new books that I have on my pull list, one that I really didn't think was going to be good, and it has no business being this much fun. Cowboy Bebop, number 3. I'm still surprisingly, I'm really liking this book. I just, there's something about it. I think they capture a really nice sense of fun from the series, from the anime, and I love the style. I love the style in this. The art style is incredible. So this artist is Lamar Matherin. Writer is Dan Waters. Again, we get these kind of like moments in these different landscapes with a different kind of arcing gag, I guess, where we can kind of dig into the weeds a little bit in the story. So you get this very staged story every time. It feels like, curtain opens on our scene for the issue, and everything just takes place in there, and it slowly kind of continues our story. But I love all this stuff. This was a lot of fun, talking about like third dimension, fourth dimension, and then if there was a fifth dimension, it would be seeing people as they've lived their life. Every decision they've made would be kind of a series of images behind them, so it would kind of string them along, and comparing that to like noodles in a bowl of ramen, and you just see these kind of forms filling up the space if you could see that fifth dimension. Interesting premise, and it just kind of goes from there. Some really nice action, but this is such a fun book. I'm just really, really glad that it is this fun. I had a bit of high hopes for that first issue, and I'm glad that it's kind of, I think it's taken the tone really well. I still haven't finished the show. We just weren't feeling that first issue or that first episode, and I think it's really hard to translate anime and comics sometimes into live action. Let's go here first. We'll end on that one. A couple more books to go here. Not much to say about this one. Heavy Metal Drummer, issue number 4. I didn't like this one as much as I like previous issues. I mean, I'm here for this crazy shit. I'm here for the crazy art. The story is okay, I guess. So there's a couple of gags that happen in here that aren't really that funny, like a couple of little jokes or whatever. Like, I'm still going to keep getting this. I want to see where it goes. It also felt like this issue was a lot thinner and the same price, but I'd say I enjoyed the first 3 issues a lot more than I did this 4th one. I'm still going to keep going. We'll see how it kind of finishes off here. Let's put that over there. Again, another one that I won't say much about. For some reason, I missed issue number 2 of Norse mythology. I don't know what happened. It's in my pull list, so I'm not sure how that happened, but I'll have to find number 2. I'm not going to say anything about this. I love it. A lot of us that are reading it are really enjoying it. It's good every single issue. This is probably one of my least favorite art-wise, but the stories are just so damn good that that you're only going to get these artists for like an issue at a time, potentially 2. So I'm not too worried about it. Solid book. Yeah, I hear you there, Werewolf. I hear that. Lead poisoning is amazing. Yes. And last but certainly not least, I saved these ones because this is another book that was a little bit of a surprise. It has 5 issues. This is a book called The Last Generation. There's 5 issues that came out. On the inside of the first one, they talk about, this is supposed to be, they were planning for about 18 issues. He had enough story written so the book will end on or about issue 18. He talks about having this kind of rewrite. They've been thinking about it for a couple of years. They rewrote it and they rewrote it and they changed some things and they added clues here and they added, and I feel like it's a book that's just overworked story-wise, because apparently there's a lot of clues in this first issue that lead to kind of what's going on, and I couldn't really follow any of it. It was pretty dense writing-wise. I still kind of dug it. There was some really neat art. We have a main couple of our main characters are from this world where animals are sentient, basically. So there's this bear clan who meets this character in the bear clan meets this wolf, and they kind of go on this adventure together. And then there's a Space Beaver vibes, absolutely. There's a meeting of kind of another reality where human beings are, and stuff like this. Like, it's just so sparse backgrounds that it was kind of losing me a little bit. But I mean, it was interesting enough, and especially because I had the 2 issues to just kind of get into the second issue. And I'm really glad I did. Stuff like this is pretty nice. I'm glad I gave it a chance, because this is a book that really picks up, especially art-wise, in the second issue. And again, in that kind of idea that some of these creators just needed to start flexing that muscle and getting into the habit of drawing page after page after page after panel, just kind of putting themselves through their paces. You can already see within 2 issues a very Baudet vibe there. It's you can see that they're starting to get a little more comfortable, because once we have a look at the second issue here, you'll see that even the backgrounds, and there's a whole chronology here too, the history of the last generation that they've broken down. And in this second issue, it really picks up as far as the art goes. I mean, first off, that cover is phenomenal. I love it. I love the lettering for the last generation. Very basic, but the idea being like, you're not going to confuse this book for anything else. And it's from a company called Black Tie Studios from Memphis, Tennessee. And this is 1987 is when this is from. And hey, look at this moneymaker. I better slab this shit. All signed by all the creators here. But you can see pretty much right away that the backgrounds are a little more fleshed out. There's a little more texture. Even near the end of the last book, you could see it. But this one feels a lot more comfortable. Like the artist is a lot more comfortable with their style and kind of finding their voice, especially when they go exploring these caves. There's some nice details in the background here. They come across this giant lizard, which we'll turn to that, because yeah, here's the kind of nice introduction to it as he's walking down this kind of tunnel, and this textured background starts opening up, and we can see that it's an eyeball. And here we go. So this page here, I love this page. I really like the lighting on this as he's holding the light. I really feel like that's a space, and how we go off into the background, nice and dark. But this is a standout page. And again, when I made this, I should have looked. I was hoping I should have read this before I made the order to Lone Star, because they have a bunch of the other issues. They have the rest of the issues actually up there, I think for about $2 a piece. If I would have known that, I would have grabbed the rest. I'm very, very curious how this is going to carry on, because there's some really nice stuff happening here. Yeah, there we go. So intriguing enough story. It's definitely clunky. Again, it's one of those things of, if you've taken 2 years to write this damn thing, it better be the smoothest goddamn story I ever read in my life. But it's just not the case. And I think that's because it just got to the point where they just started reworking it too much. You kind of have to let stuff breathe at some point and just get it on the page. So there's this real tendency, I think, to get involved in everything, and then want to put in these little clues and want to like put these twists and turns, thinking that all those details are going to make a more intriguing story. But I can't really follow the story already. I'm definitely not looking for hints of anything, because I don't know where to like, I don't know what hints to look for, because I'm not sure what's going on or what I'm supposed to be gleaning from it. So no, I did. I placed an order, John. Yeah, just recently, like 35 books or something, because I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm just having troubles finding the missing issues. So I just bit the bullet, and I ordered a bunch of stuff from Lone Star. I'm hoping it comes this week. Got notifications it's in the country anyway. So anyway, so we kind of they've kind of paired up with these humans now. And this character here, whose name I'm blanking on, he keeps having these flashes of stuff. And the last room that they're in, it really seems familiar to him, but he can't put his finger on it. We open one last door, and there's a couple of these pods with humans in it, but one is empty. This one looks like it's spraying out all over the place, and this one looks pretty sealed. So we're definitely at a point where we're going to find out what's going on. So I'm intrigued enough that I'd like to find the rest of these. We'll see how it goes. And there's the back covers there too. So yeah, Last Generation 1 and 2, a nice surprise again, like digging in those back issue bins. And I mean, seriously, even that cover is pretty phenomenal. And they really went all out on this one. The cover is pretty sturdy. The paper quality inside is really nice too. Like, they didn't skimp on this one. They really wanted to give it their all. Yeah, the covers really are good. They're probably some of the best parts about it, you know. It's always tough with stories in these books, man, as you guys are well aware, like just this clunky writing at times that there's a lot that I can forgive in comics because it is comics. I understand I'm not reading like, you know, a fucking lost masterpiece or anything. So I get that. But some books are a lot more clunky and difficult than others. Anyway, thanks very much. I will leave it on that for you there. Leave it on that panel. We'll throw a little, yeah, there we go. Throw a little swampy in there. See Damien, swamp thing. So thanks very much for hanging out, fellas. It was good to see you all. Sorry I didn't get to a lot of the chat. It kind of backed up on me and then all of a sudden jumped on the screen a bit. So good to see you all. We'll see you next week. I'm sure I'll do a video when that Lone Star stuff comes in. So we'll probably talk to you later this week. Later, everybody.